Hi and welcome to my second video where I'll be talking about group locking features on the ASA. On my previous videos I had talked about the group locking feature on the iOS and how to achieve group locking by doing both local configuration and remote configuration on the ACS. So this video I'll be talking about group lock on the ASA. Group lock on the ASA is a little more confusing than the group lock on the iOS, but the concepts remain the same. So you shouldn't have any difficulty trying to understand this, but there are some slight points which are different, and I'd like you to understand that. So let's get right to it, and let me just take you through what I'm going to be doing in this video. Alright, first let's talk about the two ways of doing group lock. First is locally, where I have all my configuration commands on the ASA, and I achieve group lock by specifying the keyword group-lock in the group policy configuration submenu. So that's locally. And second way is to do it remotely via the access control server or the ACS. This is via the ASA CLI. Now the ACS configuration here is slightly more different compared to the iOS configuration. I'll take you through the videos. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be splitting the whole task into 4 videos. And for the first video I'm going to be covering the local configuration and how it's going to work. And the second video I'm going to be configuring, I'm going to be showing you how to configure it. The third video I'm going to be doing the basics of remote authentication and group authorization. And for the fourth video I'm going to be doing the actual configuration, and you're going to have a quick walkthrough through the video. Alright, let's get to it. Now this is going to be the basic configuration. I know this diagram looks a bit weird, but I mean that's the best I could do. So yeah, this diagram is pretty straightforward. I have an ASA here. This is ASA1, and there are 3 interfaces inside DMZ and outside. I have the user called TACAC here, and this is my private protected mushy network. Now for this user to gain access here, he has to create a remote VPN session between the TACAC, between this user here and the ASA1. Now for this video, let's forget about this, because this is the ACS, and I'm going to be using this to do the remote group locking commands. And for this, you're only going to be using all the commands in the ASA. So let's dive one step further into the diagram and have a look at the different moving components of group lock. Okay, here's a quick representation of the different components which are being used in a remote VPN connection, and I'll just explain to you how group lock works in the ASA. Suppose my user here, TACAC, wants to establish a remote VPN connection to the ASA1. What he has to do is select the VPN tunnel group which he's using as an entry point into the remote VPN. Always remember that the tunnel which is being used is just an entry point, and there are going to be lots of parameters configured on the ASA, and they're all going to act around the tunnel. Confused? Okay, let me explain. Now the user TACAC, in his Cisco EasyVPN client, he's going to specify what host he's going to connect to and what the host IP, and he's going to specify the VPN tunnel group, and he's going to specify the tunnel key of, say, Cisco or anything else. Now after he specifies this, he starts the remote VPN connection, and all those parameters go over to the ASA. Let's assume that we have 2 VPN tunnels already configured in the ASA. It's either T1 or T2 are the 2 VPN tunnel groups. Now TACAC, as being a user, can choose either T1 or T2, but as administrators of the ASA, it's our job to kind of restrict TACAC to connect to either T1 or T2. Why do we need to restrict him? To apply certain privileges and policies to the particular user. I mean, you could have another user here saying this is user XYZ. He could connect to either one of those, and he could be configured only to connect to tunnel 2, whereas the user TACAC had to be configured to connect to only tunnel 1. This is achieved through group lock. Now, the three moving components which I want to talk to you here about are, first is the tunnel group, which you've already seen. The second are the group policies, and the third are the username attributes. Now, there is the tunnel groups you already know. They're the entry points into the VPN. The group policies are the places from which the tunnel group is going to get its VPN, remote VPN parameters from. When the user tries to connect to the tunnel group, it's going to poll its group policy. It's going to download the parameters and send them over to the user so that he can be configured with, say, various stuff like address pools, then split tunneling policy, split tunneling network, etc. And all these things can be configured in the group policy. Another thing which happens is there's also another moving component called username attributes. Username attributes are personal specific VPN group, lots of all the VPN attributes associated per user. Remember, the group policies are attributed for a particular group of users who all will follow one particular format, but the username attributes map to only one particular user. So you guessed it right, the username attributes gets the first privilege, and the group policies to which the username falls under gets the second privilege. Now, let me make a quick write-up of how this works. Suppose here's the user connecting in. Now, the user would have specified that he wants to be a part of group policy 1. Okay. Now, user again has some attributes with him. So the ASA first considers all these attributes, and if there are any gaps in the attributes, say for example he hasn't configured the split tunneling ACL, then it'll look into the group policy which the user falls under. If this also doesn't contain all the required parameters, that is the parameters which weren't configured by the user, it'll look further into the default group policy which is being configured for the tunnel group. Now, these are the checks which it does. It checks this first, checks this second, and checks this third. If all the parameters are found in the user attributes, it doesn't check anything else. So by this you can make out that the user attributes have privilege over the other the group policies and the default group policies. Okay, now that we understand that, let's head into group locking. Group locking can be enabled by using a command called group-lock followed by the group to which you want to lock to, say value of T1. That's the command to be followed. So let me just go ahead and check if the command is correct. All right. Yep, the command is correct. So this command can be specified in two places, either one under the group policies or under the username. If configured under the username, then this always gets privilege, and if configured here saying group policy value of T2, then this will always get the second privilege. So let's take an example. Suppose user 1 or TACAC wants to connect to tunnel 1, but as soon as it tries to connect to tunnel 1, the ASA extracts its username attributes and checks the group lock value. It checks it and says that it can connect to 1. What it does is it also checks the group policies parameters. It downloads the group policy parameters, but it doesn't check the value. It's got a value here, and that's it, because this gains higher priority over T2, and now it's allowed inside. Suppose the user had wanted to connect to T2 instead. The ASA would follow the same procedure. It would come and extract the username attributes. It would see that a group of T2 was configured here. No, it would see that user TACAC is only authorized to connect to T1, and it would deny the attack right here. So it would deny, not the attack, it would deny TACAC connecting to the remote VPN here. So this is local authentication. I'll tell you more in the next video where I configure it. So see you there. And group lock here is not very complicated. It's just a matter of understanding the commands on the ASA. See you there.